Hello, welcome to Samster Farming Unit, a farm located in Wakiso, Temangalo. My name is Esther Luwagga. I'm the marketing manager. At Samster, we do an integrated farming model, which involves fish farming, vegetable growing, cattle keeping, poultry keeping, and so many others. To give you a better picture, let's take a quick tour at the farm.
This right here is where we work on our cattle feed, where we do the chopping of the animal feed. As you can see, we have the chaff cutter. We have a bit of brewer's waste just packed in drums there, which we use for feeding the cows. Now we are at our zero grazing unit, and with the zero grazing unit we have a number of cows. We have 5 of them currently, different breeds. All the old ones are the Frisians, but we are trying to shift from the Frisian into other breeds. This here is an Ayrshire. Then we have a red Swiss behind there. Now these new breeds we are trying to introduce produce as much milk as the Frisian, but they have higher butter content than the Frisian, and they also eat far less than the Frisian. So that's why we're trying to shift from the heavy consumers to lower consumers, but with good production still. We milk an average of 15 liters a day from the milkers. We think there is still room for improvement. Those are some of the reasons why we are bringing in the other breeds. So behind, as you see, we are trying to put up a resting shed for these animals. When they eat here, then they can go and have a rest. We try as much as possible to maintain good hygiene. The disease that animals will have largely come from poor hygiene. So we clean our kraal at least 3 times a day. Every single week we do the acaricide treatment. We boost them with vitamin every month, and we find that we don't spend a lot on treating them because they never actually get sick, and their production is quite good. For our feeding, we use a combination of fresh grass, of hay, basically dry matter, silage, and brewer's waste. In the morning, like now, you found they've just finished eating the fresh grass. So around 10, 11, we give them silage, and then in the afternoon, we do a mixture of hay and brewer's waste. Just on the side here, we have our poultry unit. We are into breeding for the chicken. That is, we go into fertilized eggs. We supply to hatcheries, we hatch and give out to farmers. And so we keep relatively smaller numbers, but in sequences. So this right here is a batch of 120 birds. We have another batch of 120, we have another batch of 200 birds. It helps us get in the market at all the time and have eggs to give to our farmers. Because we're a small farm, we're a small enterprise, we want to work with high value production. With the fertilized eggs, we are getting better money than with ordinary eggs, so we don't have to keep so many birds to be productive. So we keep fewer birds, but have a higher production capacity. So with this greenhouse, we've just finished working on it again. So we intend to grow tomatoes in the greenhouse. Why tomatoes? Tomatoes are high value crops. Tomatoes are vegetables that are consumed by everyone, and the market is clear at all times. We hope to do about 500 tomato plants in here. The 500 plants we are putting here, of course, they are under intensive irrigation. The treatment is superb, and the production cycle of the greenhouse of these tomatoes is going to be higher than your normal open field tomatoes. So when we finish transplanting, at 3 months we should start harvesting. But when we start harvesting, we're going to harvest for close to 10 months, harvesting on a daily basis. So this means that with this greenhouse, I can get very good production, but with less effort, but a superior product, because this is basically a controlled environment. Our place is a bit jungled up. You'll find things scattered all over. So this is the greenhouse. Then we have some aloe vera here, some moringa. The aloe vera is basically for the poultry, because we largely treat our poultry organically. The moringa is feed for the poultry, feed for the cows, and also feed for us. Moringa is a very good plant, protein-wise. It's said it's 80% protein, For example, fish, which is the closest, is about 65% protein. So I would go with moringa, which I don't have to buy, and it's plant-based protein. Here we start our field. This is beetroot. This beetroot is just about a month and a half old. It's on irrigation, as you can see, so we don't really mind the time we plant because we have the water we can do what? We can feed it with, and it's the most effective way to go. So we hope to harvest this beetroot in a month or two's time, and then we'll replace the block with something else. The beauty with our kind of farming is when I harvest this today, I can still plant something else. I don't have to wait for a season. I don't have to wait for the land to, because I have the manure, I have the fertilizer, I have the water, which are the basic ingredients. We've been doing strawberries on a small scale actually, but we have realized that one of the biggest markets that we have is the market for strawberries. This is some sector that hasn't been tapped very well, but very, 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 very productive. Strawberries are not intense while growing, but they command very good market. We harvest throughout the year, so the consistency is there. So what we're trying to do now is to put most of our field under strawberries, even with minimal management. As you can see now, we are already fruiting. In about 2-3 weeks time, we should start harvesting. When we are harvesting, we've been harvesting close to 30 kgs a week, just with these few ridges. So when the demand has picked up, that's why we said, why don't we now make the strawberries our major product? And so we are going into strawberries intensively under good management, and we hope probably we could harvest maybe 200-300 kgs a week. A kilo of strawberries goes for roughly 60,000 shillings. In all the things we are doing, we want to be known now primarily as strawberry farmers. We've also planted a lot of lemongrass. Our ultimate is to start lemon oil extraction, but we're still building the capacity both mechanically and also the raw material itself. But even in the meantime, we are using this lemongrass in the mulching of the fields. Now, those of you who know lemongrass know that it has its smell, and that smell repels most of the pests. So when we have it in bulk, when we have it mulched on the ridges, still the rate of infection, the pests getting into the field, is down. So we use it for mulching, but ultimately we want to extract lemongrass oil from this. We're doing small bits of vegetables. As you can see, we have maybe 3 ridges of the leafy lettuce, 2 ridges of the onions, we have a ridge of kale, we have a ridge of pepper. We do the small quantities because we target final consumers. So we don't want to produce a lot to take into the conventional markets because of their challenges. So we produce for our final consumers. We do small bits, but successively. If my client, for example, is taking 10 pieces of lettuce every week, she can get the 10 pieces every week, as opposed to me growing a whole block of lettuce. I sell it off and then she has to wait for 2-3 weeks without getting more. Then we have our passion fruit, which we have eaten for some good time, always fruiting, at least for the family. You have fruits when you have to have them. This is what we call iceberg, the traditional lettuce that people are used to. Takes about 2.5 months to grow, then we can harvest. It commands good money. Like you've observed, we are growing all of our vegetables on ridges for a number of reasons. Many people are into farming, and when you ask them, what are you growing? I'm growing a lettuce. Okay, how many pieces of lettuce do you have? Okay, maybe I have around 300. Not sure. But with the ridge, I know that on this ridge I have 60 pieces. On the other ridge I have 70 pieces. So as a farmer, as a businessman, I can actually know how much I'm expecting from my lettuce. Then also for management, for weeding, for irrigation, and of course for the beauty, because farming is also important for it to be nice. So we have some red cabbage here, some purple cabbage. When the red cabbage gets ready, that's in about 3.5 months, it's ready for the market. But I can still have it in the field for up to 6 months without it going bad. It puts me in a position where I am not under pressure to sell. If the price is not good, I will not sell, I'll leave it in the garden and it will still be fine. When the market is good, then I can put it out on the market. Down here, we've set up an apple banana plantation. To be precise, we have 40 plants in here. But now the beauty with these apple bananas, we don't have to prune them. So I can have a cluster of maybe 20 bananas around here. So when I'm having 20 bananas, I, for example, have 5 of them that have fruit on them. I'm going to harvest those 5 fruits at a go. So we cut the clusters and sell a cluster at 3,000, 4,000 shillings. At the end of the day, from one fruit, I have about 12,000 shillings. So if I can have just this one hole giving me 5 fruits a year at 12,000 shillings, and I have 40 of them here, it makes business sense for us. We tend to look out for those things that we call high value crops. High value crops, and that is what we choose to focus on, do a few pieces, but have very good returns. The project that we hadn't yet introduced here was the fish farming, that is aquaculture. We have a concrete pond ahead of us. This concrete pond takes about 500 tilapia fingerlings or tilapia fish, and we intend to grow tilapia. We have an earthen pond we've just finished setting up. This is about 70,000 liters, and we hope to put close to 1,500 tilapia in here. So we will start with a total of 2,000 fish fingers. The beauty with the integration is, now you've seen the rejects of the Chinese cabbage. Those are rejects. Now those rejects will come to feed the fish. Those same rejects will go to feed the chicken, they'll go to feed the cows. The cow dung will come to feed the garden. Likewise, the poultry waste will come to feed the garden. Now the fertilized water from the fish, remember when the fish are in here, they are fertilizing the water in which they are in. So this fertilized water will now go to feed the garden. When it feeds the garden, I am using less manure on the garden side. Yes, because already I have fertile water. There is an interdependence in our model. We call it a zero waste model. Nothing is a waste. As you can see, while we are doing our weeding, all these weeds, person will call them weeds or whatever, but we compost them into manure. After 3 months, they have totally turned into soil. Now, the interesting thing is, when you look at something like this nanda, we call it nanda in Uganda. This is a very fertile grass, very fertile, very resistant. It has very good qualities. When you look at grasses like the blackjack, like the amaranthus, very aggressive in growth. When you compost those grasses, the same fertility components in them is transferred into what you're going to grow. For example, when I'm planting strawberries and I use this compost, the strawberries will get from the qualities of these good weeds. So even the weeds themselves, we don't lose them because we make fertilizer out of them. Samster Farming Unit does a lot of work in capacity building farmers, training farmers groups, church groups, youth groups. We also do a lot in project setup, project design, project management, and agrotourism, of course, because we realize agriculture is the way to go for young people, and we want to encourage as many young people as possible to join us in this movement. Like every business, there are a number of challenges, of course, that come along the way. The biggest is on the financial side, the capital investment. Agriculture is a high capital investment venture, and many times for young people it's hard to have the resources that you need to do what you have to do in the time that you need to do that. Access to credit is not so favorable for a farmer here because of the high interest rates. At the end of the day, when you get into our conventional credit, it's hard to break even. So the financing bit usually hinders your progress, your timely progress, and that is a challenge. The big challenge that we have is most of agriculture is season-based, especially the dry spells when you don't have enough water. Even the rain itself. For example, I think about 3 weeks back, when the rains were just starting, the first 3 cycles of rain we got had serious hailstones, and those hailstones seriously affected our field. Now those are things that are beyond your making. The product is almost to the point of getting to the market, and then nature also affects you. The other challenge is with the workforce, with the labor. It's hard to get good labor coming by, that is for starters, getting committed people, because we believe agriculture is a passion. So you have a person that is here just to make money, no passion at all. And when there is no passion, you don't have a good product. At the end of the day, you have to be on the farm for work to move. If you're not on the farm, even if the workers are there, the work doesn't move. But the challenges again build you. They push you to move on to the next step. Our future plan as Samster, we are working on moving to a bigger place to boost our production. What we want to do is to set this model up as a training facility so that clients will give us their human resource, and we capacity build the human resource from our farm. So this human resource can actually go and do work wherever they can go to those farms. So our major focus now is to build this into a purely training facility for production purposes. Of course, we are moving to bigger space because, as you've seen, just 1.5 acres, and it's literally all packed up now. An integrated farming model is, I believe, the way to go in this generation of less land, because especially the young people, we don't have access to a lot of land. So we need to use the small spaces that we have with an integration of different projects like you've seen. These projects also support each other. When I don't have animals on the farm, I have to buy manure from elsewhere. When I don't have plants or crops on the farm, I have to buy animal feed from elsewhere. But when I have, for example, cows, like we do have cows here, then the gardening bit is also supported by the cattle. So it is a beneficial approach to us, and then it will help us get money from different angles. Because at any one time, at least I'm selling a liter of milk, I'm selling a tray of eggs, I'm selling a kilo of tomato, I'm selling a bunch of matoke. So I have a diverse income flow from just a small space. And at any one time, at least from one of those products, I'm getting good money, however much our market prices for agriculture keep on fluctuating. So it is a safer way for us to go. It is a smarter way for us to go. I think it's the way to go for us as young farmers.